Welcome to Season 4 of She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. I'm your host, Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and this podcast are the audio versions of my live Q&A chats on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of the live Q&A chats, come on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. I'm live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. We talk about voiceover, the business of voiceover, audiobooks, and so much more. Find more information on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Enjoy today's episode. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, things that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we get together in these weekly chats to talk about a few topics, usually. I try to keep it to one, but we'll see how it goes. But if you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll, which is typically the topic of the day. But again, we'll see how it goes. Today's topic is, do you struggle with sounding natural in your voiceovers or in your audiobook narration? And I think when I mean natural, or some of the other words that are within the description here, conversational, you'll probably see that word used a lot, the conversational tone. And just to put it simply, it's basically how I'm talking to you now, as if I'm talking to another person. It's very natural. It's very evenly paced. Just normal everyday conversation, as if you were talking to someone on the street, you were having a conversation with someone in a coffee shop, you know, with a friend. In working with a lot of people over the years, I just realized that I should probably close my door because my computer is really super loud. You could probably still hear it, but anywho, squirrel. In working with people over the years, especially brand new people to voiceover and to audiobook narration, some people are very natural speakers or readers. They, especially if you've had a lot of practice with reading out loud, which is why I always say to practice reading out loud, no matter what it is, right? But some people, I think, really have a hard time with narrating naturally. And I think, now that I'm saying it out loud, I think it really comes from like imposter syndrome. I think it comes from the fear of when we hit that record button that we need to become the voice actor, you know, you need to become the narrator. I am now a different persona as soon as you hit that record button. And you focus too much on what to do, what not to do, instead of just reading the words and telling the story, or expressing the emotion, or whatever it is that the copy is asking for. So we end up coming off like we are reading the words, or we're even inserting artificial inflection, like we'll just speak with a rhythm or a melody instead of just really taking the time to understand the copy and to read it as if this is something that we are saying, instead of just the words that are on the script, right? So what we're going to talk about today, let me get to the poll here, but what we're going to talk about today are some ways that can help you perhaps break this habit. And I also want to say, before we get too into depth into this, is that if you're just starting out, and you hear me say this a lot, I highly recommend that you become part of a group, or you join a group, you join a community, you join a group of peers, of people, of other voice actors and audiobook narrators in this space. So you can discover if you are doing this. Because in the beginning, as we're learning, we start to develop a lot of bad habits that we don't know are bad habits because this is what we're just accustomed to, right? The same thing for your sound. You don't know if you have an echo. You don't know if you sound boxy or if you're using too much of a noise reducer and you sound tinny. You don't know any of these things because no one has told you and you just got used to hearing it that way. I had the same problem. I was speaking in a melody and adding artificial inflection instead of really taking the time to understand the copy. And it wasn't until someone said, "Hey, do you know that you're doing this?" that I realized I was doing it, and then I could address it. So join groups, be with your peers. Don't be afraid of, of feeling like you're being picked apart or anything like that. If you join the right group, you could find people that want to help you, that it's constructive criticism. It's not so much even criticism, it's support and help. It's learning and growing with people that are like-minded and can help you to move past, to discover, address, and move past any kind of bad habits that you might be developing. Okay, first tangent over. Hopefully, well, we'll probably see some more. You know how it goes. But anyway, to the poll. So far we have 32 votes. And again, the poll is, do you struggle with sounding natural in your voiceovers or your audiobooks? And 38% of you said yes. 50% of you said sometimes, depends on the copy. And I think that's good that you're being honest with yourself, right? That you recognize that you do that and that you might have a problem and that you want some help in addressing it. So I was hoping that that would be the general outcome here. 3% of you are very confident and said, no, I nail it every time. I could tell you even 6.5 years later, I still find myself doing that from time to time, especially if it's words that I'm uncomfortable with or words that are structured in a weird sort of way, and it's hard to get it to come out sounding natural. So even I would never say I nail it every time. But if you do, good on you, I suppose. That's awesome. 11% of you said I haven't recorded anything yet. So good. So for those of you that say sometimes, depends on the copy, or I haven't recorded anything yet, I'm hoping something said today will help you to not do this or discover that you are doing this and help you to move past it. All right. So before we get to the comments, let me take this off the screen here. Before we get to the comments, I hate making people wait until the end of the video to find out what they came here for. So you've already had to sit through like 10 minutes of me talking about other stuff anyway. But what you can do is what is usually referred to as either a jump off or a lead in. And if you're finding yourself struggling to get through copy that is hard to sound natural. And I think for me, again, most of the time it's just like big technical words or even medical, right? Medical can be tough. But if you're finding yourself in a place where you cannot sound conversational, the best thing that you can do, actually there's a couple things that you can do. I recommend having a picture of someone or even multiple someones in your studio with you. I like to think of it as different people for different emotions, even if you're having a hard time expressing emotion. Because if you're looking at another person, you're looking at them, it's a little bit easier to like make that connection, right? If you can talk to someone other than just into the void, into your recording space, it's a little bit easier to sound like you're talking to someone. So having pictures of people that you care about in your studio with you will definitely help you with this. But what really had helped me was the lead in or the jump off, which is before you start recording the copy, you would look at that person in the picture and say, you know what? I heard something really awesome today. I want to tell you about it. If you start speaking to them in a normal conversational tone, like, you know what, I was really thinking about this thing and I want to get your opinion on it, and then go into the script. That'll help kind of put your brain on that wavelength instead of, I need to be the voice actor, I need to read words. You can just carry on with that conversational tone as if you were talking to someone else in your studio, another person, instead of, again, into the void, right? Into the microphone, right? If you need to, you can put little even eyes or an ear on your microphone if you want to. I mean, really what it comes down to is whatever it takes to make it feel like you're talking to another person, or in some circumstances, depending on the copy, a group of people, right? And you can edit that stuff out later. Another thing that I have mentioned before is just hitting record early, then getting your script, then taking the time to read through it, and maybe even give it a couple of takes. It's been recording this whole time, but the anxiety that is sometimes attached to that recording button being clicked is usually done and over with by that point. You've already got a couple of cold reads, a lukewarm read, maybe even a warm read in, and then you can go into the script and then perhaps maybe look at a picture of someone in your studio, or, have a lead in, use their name in the lead in, right? If you wanted to. And then in post, when you're done recording the script, when you go back to edit, you could just cut all that stuff out, just delete it out. And you could even do this in between sections as well. If you're really needing to get to a certain emotion, and maybe perhaps you're not giving it enough of that emotion, we always say give it 50 to 100% more than you think you need in terms of emotion, because this is the example I always use. If I told you right now that I was happy, could you tell that I was happy? Or if I told you right now I was happy, could you hear that I was happy? You really need to give it 50, even sometimes 100, sometimes 200% more to make that emotion come across. So if you have a picture of someone that makes you genuinely happy in your studio, and you allow yourself to feel that, and then you talk to them in that emotion in the way that you're intending to be feeling, as it's supposed to come across in your copy, it'll be so much easier for you to achieve that emotion. And then again, you can cut out that lead-in or that conversation with that person preceding the copy. You can cut that out in post. You can do anything that you need to do to get to the place that you need to get to, or that the copy is asking you to get to, in terms of, speaking it out loud or grunting, even if you're having to be mad or something, whatever it is that you need to do, expletives, whatever it is that you need to do to get there, and then delete that stuff out in post, and then you'll have, your finished copy at the end. Just don't forget to cut that stuff out before you send it to the client. Is the only word of advice, the major word of advice there. And make sure that you cut that stuff out prior to submitting it to the client. You could get in trouble. All right, so that is some major tips from me. Let's see if anybody in the comments has some additional things that you could do to help you move past this. So let's see who's first in. Who's first in? PSV Odyssey. Good morning. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Paul in Arkansas. Good morning to you, Paul. Good morning to you. Paul Landrigan, voiceover artist, is here. Morning to you. Hi, Angela et al. Slightly off topic, but last week I completed a book that featured something like 75 distinct characters. I couldn't, in all honesty, claim that they all sounded entirely natural. Yeah, that can be tough. That is a large stable of voices to not only remember, but maintain and sustain. And I think that's actually another good topic for another upcoming live. We haven't talked about character voices in a while. I think. Maybe we have we? But there are some things that you can do to help you to remember these character voices. But the main thing to remember when you're into character voices is that, especially with audiobooks, any kind of long form narration where you're having to sustain this voice for a long period of time, whatever voice you develop for a character, make sure that, number one, that you can sustain it without completely destroying your voice in the process. You have to be able to comfortably maintain and or sustain that voice. And then keep track of it, either in a separate voice file, of a file for each character that you can go back and reference. If you have a large pool of characters to try to remember, or have one master file where you have a snippet of each character voice and you can use markers or whatever to name each character. So there are some ways to keep track of character voices, but main thing, make sure that you can sustain it without completely destroying your voice in the process. Joel is here. Hey, Joel. How you doing? Hello from rainy West Michigan. I'd love to have some rain. Peak Parables. I think this one I saw that you had retracted that one, so I'm going to guess that you probably didn't want that to be seen. Sorry. Dave Brumfield. Hello from Ontario, Canada. Hello to you, David. Peak Parable says, I found it most difficult going from narrator to character POV to help keep on track. I have set up a library of playback I can easily access in headphones, work out the recording, later edit out. I found it most difficult going from narrator to character POV. And to help keep it on track, I've set up a library playback. Okay, so I think this is along the lines of what I was just saying, perhaps, about keeping an audio, like a master track of each character or a separate file for each character in a folder on your desktop, which you could totally do to keep track of character voices. It's also a good thing for the manuscript itself, and then have like a master file where you have notes on each character, their background. You could even describe where the voice is in your face, throat, perhaps, or even if there is a TV or movie character that they remind you of, you can insert a picture of them there, and then a highlight, and then go through like a highlight color, and then go through the manuscript and highlight all of those characters' lines in that highlight. So when you're going through the manuscript, you can easily see, okay, that is this character, that is this character. So there's a lot of things that you can do as an audiobook narrator to kind of make your life a little bit easier in, going through and prepping the book and prepping the characters and doing all of the work beforehand, before narrating the audiobook. Kathleen is here. Good morning, Kathleen. Hello to you, Dwight. Morning, Dwight. Good day, Angela. I hope it is a great day for you and all of our fellow Angelistas. I do too. I have a great feeling about today. I think it's going to be a wonderful day. I hope it is for all of you too. Getting close to Turkey Day. Jim Williams says, good morning from Memphis. Pollen is the villain. I can't get rid of it. Oh, gosh, I know. It seems to be a thing. There's a lot of people in Arizona in the last couple of weeks, myself included, where we've had just like sinus, like respiratory just stuff, just yucky stuff. I don't know what it is. I feel you, though. NYU's 99 says, I have no issues being dramatic or intense, but casual or conversational is something I have struggled with for years. And I find that to also be the case. You're either one extreme or the other and have a hard time sort of switching between the two. But I'm hoping that having pictures in your studio of people that you perhaps talk to in a conversational way, family, a best friend, a neighbor that you're close with, someone that you're used to speaking to conversationally, will help you to sort of get to that sort of mind frame right? To that, I wanted to say level, but I guess that mind frame, to that space, headspace. So I'm hoping that helped. Colette is here. Hello, Colette. How are you doing? Good morning to you. I'm the Gamer says, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. I'm the Gamer. Dwight says, congrats, Paul. I am struggling with doing as few. Read the words, Angela. Doing as few as 10 voices. To even attempt 75 voices is amazing. Kudos and many successes with that. For sure. That's a lot. You should pat yourself on the back for that. That is a lot. John Freetag says, good morning from Tonopah. Some friends have recently told me that my voice is better for live work and not narration. Deciding if I should abandon the book narration for that direction or not. I think you could utilize that live work mindset that you're in when you're doing live work, when you have people that you're connecting to, by having pictures of people in your studio. It's the same sort of idea. I think you probably get more energy from having people in front of you that allows you to come across more naturally, perhaps. You could utilize that same sort of idea for audiobook narration. So do I think that you should abandon that? Absolutely not. I think you should utilize some of those same strategies that you do for live work and carry them into your studio and see if that helps you. Even had a visualization. Do you remember those old school picture frames where you could put in photos or even video and it would play like a picture frame? I wonder if you could do that. Is that weird? You could do that, like put one of those like digital picture frames in your studio, or even have like pictures moving across your monitor where you could see lots of people. I don't know. I guess you could ultimately do whatever it is that you need to do to get to that place. But don't ever give up on something just because, I mean, you're so close. I mean, they're so closely connected. I think just a small little shift in how you approach it, I think would make all the difference. So don't abandon it. Mary is here. Good morning. Hoping this Tuesday bring all the VO work you want. Yes. Abundance of VO. Abundance of work. Abundance of everything today. Here, Mary. Tess Stalker says, wow, this episode is for me. Thanks. Good. Glad to help, Tess. Glad to see you here. Good morning to you. Jim Williams says, Discord is a good place for having a crowd. Can't do Thursday night, though. You've made it to a couple. You've made it to a couple of our Platinum meetings. But our Discord is definitely a great place to find support information, answers to questions, things like that. Dylan is here. Good morning, Dylan. I typically don't have a problem sounding natural except for conversational commercial reads. I often slip into a spokesperson voice. I totally get that. I think what it is that we're probably programmed. I think, you know what? When we were kids, all of us, when we were kids with cartoons, the cartoon commercial, whenever we would see or hear a cartoon commercial, the commercial voice, that's what it was. It was announcery. And it wasn't until relatively recently, in the last maybe 5 years, maybe, that it started to shift into more relatable conversational sort of a tone or, a feel to make it more approachable and not so boomery announcery. I think so that connotation from like an announcer read commercial is sort of ingrained in our brains. I'm really getting into psychology today. I wonder if that's what it is that we just associate commercial with spokesperson voice. Tess says, oh, hey, all y'all from Dracula. Now we got to go back to Dracula. Rainy here today. Oh, I wish it was rainy here today. Gregory, Hi, Gregory. Good morning. Good morning, Angelinians. One of the best things to do is to think about the last conversation you have had and say those words are a transcript of your words. Don't say, I can't do it. Exactly. Never say you can't. You can. It's just a matter of finding out the how or even the why. I think mainly the how, because I think a lot of times we hold ourselves back from doing it because of fear. We can. It's just that either there's an obstacle or a challenge in the way that we don't want to confront or, face, or we just don't. I guess it's all the same thing, isn't it? We tell ourselves we can't because we don't want to give it any kind. We don't want to fight the fear. Interesting. I'm trying to pump the brakes on the tangent. I'm trying. But don't ever say that you can't. You just got to figure out how you can. Frank Oatley. Good morning. Good morning from South Bend. Good morning to you. Dylan, rainy here in southern Michigan as well. Preparing for snow later this week. I can't believe that it's like mid-November already. Where did this year go? This year went by so quickly. Jim says, my voice is resonant on occasion, but not very often. Yeah, I think most of us can get that. Our voices change. I want to say even throughout the day. I mean, depending on what we're doing, if we're hydrated enough, the time of day, our voices change all throughout the day. So if there's a particular time of day that your voice sounds closest to what you want to call your money voice, like the voice that you're most comfortable with, the voice that perhaps your clients are asking more of more often, the money voice, that is the time, obviously, that you want to record. But it's hard to do if you're, still working for someone else full time. So, I mean, having been there myself, I commend all of you that are doing VO part-time. When you do a full day of work and you come home and you try to do VO after work, I've been there. I know how hard that is to sort of bring life back into your body and into your voice to record this stuff. I know how hard that is, but getting back to your point, I feel like the tangents are flying today. Getting back to your point, Jim, voices change all throughout the day, every day. So finding the sort of the sweet spot of the time of day that works best for you to record is usually the time you want to record. Okay, get back to it, Angela. Okay, Sally says, hi, I brought donuts. Maple bars, those are my favorite. How did you know? Dwight says, oh, and hello from the CT shoreline. It is a bright and sunny but chilly day. Wildfires all over this state right now. It has been months since it rained here. Thursday is supposed to be a doozy. Thursday is supposed to be a doozy for rain, hopefully. Sounds like you need it. Tess says, oh, Dylan, I'll take rain versus snow. Janelle. Hey, Janelle. Good morning, Janelle. Hey, Angela, everybody. I sometimes step away from the book or copy, then think about the emotions involved and the characters before giving it another go. Yes, if you have to, this is another thing that you can do. The jump off or the lead in is just one way to sort of get your mind back into the correct mindset. Having pictures in your studio is another way, but taking breaks is another way to sort of reset, to sort of gather yourself. I think that especially if the copy is difficult, we can sit and really ruminate or overthink or make it more than it really is in our heads. And if we take a break, which you should be doing every 2 to 3 hours anyway, max. Get up and move around. It's not good for you to sit in a chair for hours and hours and hours. But just kind of turn everything off. I don't mean just leave everything running and then go take, a 2-minute stroll. I mean, shut everything down, completely detach your brain from what you're doing. It's completely done. And then go do something else. Reset in that way. It's the same idea as, powering down electronic for 30 seconds to let it reset. It's the same thing with your brain. Do that, take a breath, reset, go focus on something else for a while, and then come back and like a fresh new pair of eyes and ears. And you'll probably find that it'll be a little bit easier from that point on. But great point, Janelle. Thank you for bringing that up. Gregory says, I am a master of the cold read. I wish I could teach it to others. Thanks, radio and theater. Hey, that's an idea. Yeah, not a lot of people can master a cold read. I guess it really depends on what it is, too. What kind of copy it is, for sure. But you are definitely good at cold reads. Jim says, but getting better at punch and roll now. Good. Did it on a book I recorded at the very end of a page. Yeah, punch and roll. I don't know if it's just my lack of coordination or lack of patience, or I don't know, maybe, old dogs, new tricks kind of a thing. I don't know, but I even hate saying that. I shouldn't even say that. Not because I think I'm old, but because it's a limiting belief and we shouldn't have any of those. Stinking thinking, right? We don't want to do any of that. But anyway, punch and roll, I could never really get into. It just never really clicked for me. But definitely something worth looking into, trying to see if it's something that, because the people that I know that have used or switched to punch and roll, I really, really like it. They really, it really helps them to go through, and in post, it saves a lot of time. But I'm just stuck on the clicker method, I suppose. Well, we have a super chat. Hold on. Oh, God, that sticker is super, super cute. I wish I could show that. It's in the chat. That is so cute. Thank you, Janelle. It doesn't show up here, which I'm so bummed. I wish it did. Thank you so much, Janelle. Janelle, I am a voice actor. I do speak words. I can do it. Thank you, Janelle. You are a rock star. That is super cute. I wish I could show you guys that sticker. Thank you so much. You're a gem. I lost my place. Where? Oh, here we are. I found it. Okay. Dwight says rain and possibly snow is a-coming on Thursday. Oh, phew. Just like my VO gig work. We need it bad. Lorna's Adventures After 50 says, good morning from windy North Oregon. I catch myself hard to sound natural on books with technical vocabulary. And if it's something that's not natural for you to say, if it's something you're not saying on a day-to-day basis, of course, it's not going to sound natural. I do a lot of long-form narration audiobooks and a lot of e-learning. And a lot of what I do is also very technical in nature. I do a lot of technical VO and medical VO. So I completely understand this comment, and it just takes time and practice. And Merriam-Webster.com for correct pronunciations on things. And also I find that a lot of clients are more than willing to give you recordings of pronunciations for you. You could even ask your clients to just record themselves on their phone saying the correct way that they want a word pronounced, and then send that audio clip to you to help you with the pronunciations. Because don't go to Google. Don't go to Google for pronunciations. Go to at least Merriam-Webster.com. That is the online dictionary. There are phonetic spellings and audio pronunciations. But you could also ask the client for ways that they would like it pronounced, just to make sure, just to keep revisions down. And then you could take time practicing that, mimicking it, emulating it. making sure that you're saying it the way that they want to. And if you've said it a few times, you could even say the entire sentence that word is in a few times, so it becomes a little bit more natural, in your own face. It might take a few tries, but just practice, practice, practice. It's hard to cold read that stuff, is what I'm saying. Gregory says, another idea, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, Gregory, you are on point, my friend. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Andrew Lee says, hi, Angela. Hello, Andrew. I have found that your weekly premium workshops are a great source of friendly and useful advice and support. Yes, our Platinum group is probably one of the best groups of people I have ever had the pleasure of knowing. They are an amazing group of people. Thank you for being part of it. Dwight says, don't forget to click the thumbs up for our mentor extraordinaire, Miss Angela. Thanks, Team Angela. You guys are awesome. Yes, click it, tickle it, smash it, whatever the kids are saying. Please hit that like button. Thank you. That was so weird saying that. Thank you. Dylan says to Tez, not me, I've got Viking blood. I prefer snow over anything that's not 75 and sunny. I am the opposite. 75 and sunny. Plus. That's me. I'm like a reptile. I need to be warmed in the sun. Sweet Nightmare ASMR. That is the most awesome username ever. Is it normal to mess up words that I wouldn't normally mess up? I find myself fumbling a lot. Are there any tips for nerves? Or is it just the more you do it, the more it gets natural? It is completely normal to mess up and mess up a lot. I think a lot of that is, just like you said, it's nerves. It's intimidation. It's trepidation. It's hesitation. We limit ourselves just because of perhaps the excitement, the fear, the nervousness, the anxiousness. Especially when we hit that record button, again, we believe that we need to become something other than ourselves when we hit that record button. So we overthink it. We're in our heads too much. We are our own worst critic in many ways. So to your point, yes, it just takes practice. And I think what helps a lot of people, I have found, is becoming or to join groups. Because if you can narrate copy, if you can practice out loud in front of other people, because that is, I think, for a lot of people, especially us introverts, that is even scarier than doing it by yourself in your own studio. So if you're doing that, if you're narrating in front of other people, then that is scarier. So it sort of takes some of the fear away from doing it by yourself in your studio. So that may help as well, but it just naturally does get it easier the more you do it, the more practice that you get. So just keep at it. We will resolve a lot of our own problems by just sticking with it, by just doing it, by just carrying on. We are our own problem most of the time. We're in our heads too much. Tess says, thanks for the reminder, Dwight. Dylan says to Sweet Nightmare ASMR, it gets a lot better the more you do it. I used to get so nervous every time I turned my mic on. I still fumble over words at times, but also very normal and natural. I still do it every day. I do it here in my live, but it's not because I'm nervous. Dwight says, to Angela's point about talking in the emotion and sounding that emotion, I often am emoting in my head during narration, and then the performance is not what I heard in my head. I work on this daily. Yeah, I think when you hear an emotion in your head, it's what you're accustomed to. So really forcing yourself to feel it and emote it, to become or to embody that emotion, to really give it that 50 to 100% more than we normally would, to make it come out that way, because what is in your head is not enough. because it's what you're accustomed to. That's what you're used to doing. That's you, normal every day. But everybody else that's hearing your voiceover, they don't know you. They don't know that's you expressing that emotion. So you really have to give it extra to have it come across that way to someone just hearing you for the first time. Jim says, I get a throat cleaning going on sometimes. I put some dead air in front and behind it so it is easily removed in audition. Yeah, whenever you have a mistake or a cough or you're sipping water or you're clearing your throat or whatever it is, give it a little bit of a pause. It'll make your life easier editing it out later. Sweet Nightmare ASMR says to Dylan, aha, yeah, I figured it will get easier. I always second guess myself or redo lines that sounded fine on the first take when I listen back. I just overthink it, I guess. And I find that to be true most of the time. Your very first take is usually the right one. Right? Because you think in your head at the moment, I didn't like that. And then you redo it several times and then you listen back. You're like, that first one was like spot on. I don't know why I overthought it. We do it to ourselves. It's completely normal and natural to do that. It's human. Don't beat yourself up for being human. But recognizing it and understanding it when we do it is the key. Because then you know what to do after that. You know how to fix it. You recognize that it's just you and it was probably fine. So you have to just trust yourself. But that can be hard to do. Eric says, sitting on a stationary bike right now. Good for you, Eric. I chose answer number 2. Still working on sounding natural sometimes, but I am getting better. Yes, you are. I have to kind of go through these comments quickly. I've got, my kiddo's got an early day at school, so I have to run out the door here in about 20 minutes. Lorna's Adventures at 50 says, to Sweet Nightmare ASMR, I picked a random word daily and talk about it for a minute. Helps the brain-mouth connection. I have dyslexia. It helps. Interesting. That's a good one. Sally says, I've figured out how to get natural. Pretend I'm reading to my kids. Need to figure out how to breathe now. You just breathe. Don't focus on your breathing. That's also overthinking about the breathing. Just breathe. Just breathe. Don't worry about the breathing. Don't worry about anything other than the story that you're trying to tell. The product that you're trying to sell. The call to action that you're trying to, bring attention to. Whatever the purpose of the copy is, that's all you need to focus on. Don't focus on anything else because you'll just get into your head too much. Eric says, comedian Steve Harvey says, a man needs 6 suits of basic colors. Then he can mix and match and they will all work. Same with voices for me. I have a repertoire of V standard voices that I can then mix and match to make more variables. Yes. To piggyback off of that, what I refer to them is like a stable of archetypes in your head for voices, right? You have what I call the lumberjack, which is sort of like a gruff, manly voice. And then you have what I call the airline stewardess or the Barbie, who is kind of bubbly, right? If you have go-to voices in your head, you have a stable of maybe 7 to 10 different archetypes, and then you can sort of tweak them a little bit to fit the character that you're trying to create a voice for. Then it'll be a lot easier for you to go right to that voice, if that makes sense. Jim says, Angelistas are residents of what city region? Angelopolis. I mean, obviously, Jim. Jeez. Sally says, good morning, all from dry. Hang on. Maryland? What did I just see? Something just happened. Hold on. I don't know what that was. Jim says, I do good to... I put my glasses on. I do good to do just one voice. And one voice is fine too. You don't have to do character work. You don't have to do character work. to be a voice artist or audiobook narrator. Most of the time, most of what I do is just this voice here. Even in video games, it's just this voice. You can do one voice. Hello, everyone. Joy. Hi, Joy. Hello, everyone from a very rainy Southfield Mill. Sounds like everybody else needs your rain. Why don't you send it over? Share. Don't be so stingy. Kristen says, good morning, lurking, but forgot to say hello. Hello, Kristen. Hello. Jim says, do both live work and other stuff, too. VO is a multi-stream activity. It sure is. Chat with Lorna says, I sometimes fall into my customer service voice when talking. Yeah, especially if you're a mom, it's easy to fall into the mom voice, too. These are all great tips. Thank you, Angela and all. Peak Parable says, but trying out different genres and what plays to your strengths as well, I have found a conversational love story is different than a conversational style on a history book on World War II. And that is also a great point. Of course, the intent or purpose of the copy is going to determine what tone you use, but I'm more or less referring to not sounding like you are reading the words on the page, to sound more natural in your narration. And that is more of a conversational style. But of course, the tone that you're going to use for whatever copy that you're reading is going to be highly dependent on who you are as the narrator, who you're talking to, and what is the purpose of this narration. Because you're not going to use the same tone to a group of kindergartners as you would with a group of doctors. It's going to be a completely different tone. But still in a conversational style, like you're speaking to someone versus reading words or being announcery, right? Mark Miners is here. Good morning. Sorry I'm late. Where's the donuts, man? If you're late, you got to bring the donuts. Man. Dwight says to Eric, I like both of your ideas. I think I will start doing the elliptical while listening to Tuesdays with Angela, and also love the 5 or 6 voice basic library and vary rotate as needed. Mark says, sunny for now here in Nicaragua. Oh, interesting. We're global today. That's awesome. What are you guys doing in the comments? I see a bunch of abbreviations. What are you guys doing? Jim says, I can do falsetto voice, but only in short takes. Yeah, don't destroy your voice for anything, unless it's something really small. Because sometimes we really push ourselves to discover the range that we could have or that we do have and that we probably have and didn't know that we had, right? So it's good to experiment. It's good to play. It's good to have fun and really have fun with it. I mean, voiceover and audiobook narration is just fun, period. It's a fun job. So have fun with it. Play. Experiment. See what you can do. You might surprise yourself. Have fun. Joy says, what I do is practice by pretending I'm talking to a friend on the phone. That works too. That works too. You can even do this as you're as you're narrating. Use your body, use your hands, gesticulate, do whatever it is that you have to do to get to that point, to deliver what it is that you're intending to deliver. You don't have to sit here all rigid and be afraid of what you're doing. Don't do that. This is a fun job. So have fun with it. Then I delete the extra chatter. Yes, whatever you're inserting to help you get to that place, just cut it out in post. Cut it out later when you're editing. It's okay. Oh, is this where all the abbreviations are stemming from? Yes, I know. I know, Jim. I may look young. I can promise you I'm not. Gregory says, tangents. Yeah. Joel says to Dylan, let's send our rain and snow down south for a bit. Dylan says to Eric, I have the same approach to character voices. I have a stable of about 8 voices, but I will pitch them up and down to add accents. That turns those 8 voices into dozens. Jim says, I'm wondering if anybody's getting work in Upwork. Their gigs are always lowball. Yeah, I think I've heard of some people doing really, really well in Upwork, but it just takes a lot of work. I mean, not everything is going to be perfectly ideal. There's going to be good jobs and there's going to be great jobs. There's going to be jobs and there's going to be, magnificent. There's always going to be, all kinds of sides of the spectrum, from the middle to the high to the low. I mean, you're going to see all kinds of stuff on any platform that you're on. I mean, even like the voice, like what was I on the other day? Like Voice 123, like voiceover only platforms will still have like zero paid stuff, like for funsies kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you're going to find that kind of stuff everywhere. So just keep positive and keep at it is really the main thing to remember. Jim says, can't get the minus 60 floor and punch and roll because computer has to be on to do it. Well, you would still need to process your files after you record it. And either if you're recording with clicker or you're recording with punch and roll, you still have to add your effects, which will help with the noise floor. Peak Parable says, one way my mentor taught me to get into the mood based on genre performing is before recording, listen to a style of music for a few minutes that best matches, i.e. angry metal or romantic Barry White. Interesting. I like it. Sally says, ooh, I like the music to match way to get in the mood. Music has a way of doing that. Music has a way of changing our mood. Tess says, I am getting so much from this Thursday group, and so appreciate it, really. Good. Jim says, do you do voice work every day or some days about business only? It varies from day to day. It varies from day to day. Every day is a little bit different. Some days I'm just editing. Some days I am recording. Some days I am refreshing. It really does vary from day to day to day. Every day is different. Eric says, archetypes, yes. Angel says, morning. Coming in late with homemade glazed. Oh, thank you. Have a great day. I'll catch the replay. Dwight says to Jim, for punch and roll or VO in general, keep your computer out of the booth if at all possible. That will definitely help with your noise floor. Get everything that makes noise away from your microphone. That will definitely help with your noise floor if you're narrating audiobooks. But keep a wireless or long-wired mouse and keyboard in the booth. I also use a Wigidash touchpad. And you guys are doing all your weird abbreviations. And then Mark brought the donuts. Mark, my man, thank you. Donuts, if you're late to the live, you bring donuts. Enough for everyone. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. But actually, let's check the poll one last time. We got a few minutes and then I have to run. But again, today's topic and poll was how to sound natural or conversational in your voiceovers and audiobooks and not sound like you are reading words on a page instead of reading words on a page, right? 34% of you said, yes, I do struggle with it. And I think you're being honest. I mean, I think we all do it. It really depends on the kind of copy it is, right? And then 48% of you said sometimes depends on the copy. And then 2% of you said, no, I nail it every time. And then 15% of you said, I haven't recorded anything yet. So again, I'm hoping that something discussed somewhere in today's live has helped you at least to think of ways that you can maybe try some things that could help you to sort of break out of that, anxiety or the trepidation or, maybe overthinking, when you're recording, and just bringing in pictures of people that starting with a lead in or a jump off, or taking a break, or hitting that record button and then forgetting that you hit the record button, and then just going into the script. That there's a few different ways that you can, hopefully one of them, maybe a combination of these, can help you to kind of move past that and get to be more natural. And then also getting feedback from groups is also not only essential, I think, but really a great way to help you in many ways, not only in the support, the community. Community is so important because we, as a community, understand the struggles. We understand what we're going through, what you're going through. Not only that, but we might have been in a place where you are now and know exactly what to do to help you get past it. And then also to get feedback on perhaps some bad habits that you may be developing and then nip them in the bud before they become ingrained. I mean, there's a lot of great benefits to joining groups of peers in this industry. So I highly recommend that you do that. If it's only just a Facebook group, but if you can join like a workshop like I have, or other masterminds, or just circles of people that can give you feedback on things, I mean, that is the best thing you can do in the beginning. You'll learn so much that way. Anywho, I got to get going, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And if there's anything that you guys want to talk about in the future in upcoming lives, then please put that in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys then. Bye. Thank you for listening to She-Lancer Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. That's me. For more information about me, visit my website, voiceoverangela.com, or hop on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.